Hey everyone, it's Arnold and Rotana from the new ABC. We are back for the new Workout TV, and today we're gonna talk about digital transformation and even go beyond that because we have thought about that deeply with Arnold. And to me, well, every transformation for an organization is a cultural and business one. And of course, me and Arnold with the new ABC, we are ready to just add value and co-create a big organization when you are ready to do so. Simple as that. But what does it mean to go through a cultural and business transformation? Well, basically, that's what I've noticed lately through a report from Altimeter Group called the 6 stages of digital transformation. So they wrote a whole report. We will share the link in the description of this YouTube video. But they address the business transformation part, where they share that they are focusing on the digital customer experience, what they call DCX, and why it's a main driver for them to just go through this evolution of business. And they share 6 key elements where an organization can go through this simultaneous transformation, as they call. It's analytics, it's customer experience, governance and leadership, people and operation, technology integration, and last but not least, digital literacy. So when you are addressing all these 6 key elements of the puzzle, you can go through this business transformation that we think any organization, startup, or large corporation have to go through if they are already playing in the connection edge. But for the cultural transformation part, what are your thoughts, Arnold?
Yeah, well, clearly that is missing. So it's like what we have expressed before. It's like if you have the business part, which is really like the iceberg, which is the top, which you see above the water, but the cultural one is the stuff which is below the water, and that finally determines the direction. So if you try to do, and if you not neatly follow those 6 steps and you do everything perfectly, I will tell you it won't work, because it's in the end, it's the cultural part which determines your direction. So if you're not addressing the cultural part means how people behave. What is the trust level? How is trust being addressed? A very important part as you relate to digital thing. How do people behave? How are we responding to things? Because digitally really means that you're really much faster, you're much more open, you're much more transparent, you're much more connected. But that immediately ties into what I would call trust, but also like being agile to directly relate to customer things, whatever. Yeah, so it's a big cultural shift. Yeah, it's like, well, it's still the case in some companies where you get a special wing in the office where all the board members are sitting, but nobody can reach them because even that wing has got a special door and needs a special pass. Otherwise, you cannot get in the wing. You cannot find those guys' emails. You cannot approach them because they're protected. Yeah. Even I know some of them, they get a separate elevator or whatever to get to the wing. If you talk about being digital, but digital means that you're open, that you're connected to the world. Yeah. That means that you have to change your culture. You have to change your mindset. You have to change everything. Yeah? Like what we ourselves, we were trying to address with our marketing campaign, some wives of presidents or prime ministers or even queens. And we're trying to address them. And what we found in all those websites, you cannot even find a simple email. Not even an info ad, which normally people don't respond to. You cannot find email. Normally, you can find basically an address and a postal address and sometimes a phone number. But again, that's the old way of doing things. It's like protecting people, make it very difficult to access, and having these old traditional ways of approaching people. Yeah. Well, that is not only with that. How many times I'm here at networking meetings where people still use business cards?
No.
I think using business cards is a waste of resources because it's paper, it's resources, it's printing, whatever. It's a huge waste of resources when you talk about sustainability in the climate, whatever. But what do people do? You get a business card, you get it home, and if somebody, you type in the name or you put in the phone number in your system, and you throw the card away. So it's much more efficient just to open up your Twitter account or your Facebook or your LinkedIn and to connect with people. But people still like, oh, don't you have a business card? But that's why I say it's a cultural shift. It's like, hey, digital transformation means that your behavior needs to change. That it also like, but even think about areas like customer service. Yeah, there's still a lot of organizations. You cannot find their customer service number or their email or their Twitter because they don't want it, because they're like, oh, many people start complaining. Well, now they complain, but you don't know it.
That's it. And people want to talk to humans, not bots or, I don't know, services. That's it.
So it's like the complaining will go on, whether you make it difficult to reach you or not. And it's better to be aware rather than to say, well, if I don't see it, it's not there. Well, that's a bit of an ostrich approach. So it's really that digital transformation. And that's why I'm so happy what you addressed, Rotana, is like, it's not only the business part, it's mainly the cultural part. And that determines whether there will be results or not. So digital is not just a way of saying, okay, previously it would be done in this way and now I do it in a digital way. No, if digital means that you have a complete different mindset.
Yeah, absolutely. Being connected, responsive. We are talking a lot about co-creation via the new ABC, but also with any people organization in our ecosystem. So also in doing that too, you know, through Twitter, through any collaborative tool or even emails. But well, people need to be there, and we need to just know where we can find you and co-create with you via those tools, via those behaviors, via those approaches. Yeah.
Yeah, and also, yeah, we see a lot of, for instance, as we use Twitter a lot, we see many folks who are still using Twitter account, but when you ask them a question or you respond to it, there's nothing. So it's only broadcasting, which is again only the old way of doing things. It's just broadcasting. But hey, I want to create an interaction. And if you don't want that, well, stop being on social media, because then you don't understand it.
That's it. Yeah, it's about building relationship, and more than that, we know that we can connect higher and co-create via those tools. Well, for doing simple stuff, and then we can go with more complex activities or projects, of course. But it starts there too, you know.
Yeah. So I would conclude today's call is that if you don't address that, if you're not willing to change your trust level, if you're not willing to be responsive to customers, if you're not willing to create dialogues, whatever, forget about your digital transformation, because it's just a waste of time and resources. You don't do it then, because then in the end it won't work. You spend a lot of money and time, whatever, but you won't reap the fruit. The fruit will only be there when you're really opening up.
Yeah, absolutely. So that will be the last word of our episode today. Stay tuned for a new one on Monday, and have a great weekend, everyone.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.